late in the draft instead of number 10, so it's a different deal. But you can see how they had clear needs last year, especially at the two tackle spots. Tight end, not as much. But could you do that? Could you add somebody in the secondary, add somebody at linebacker, maybe add a pass rusher, depending what happens with Olivier Vernon? I do think it's possible. Maybe not quite as splashy as Wills, Conklin, Hooper, but I think potentially almost as productive and almost as effective in raising the level of this defense. You go from Greg Robinson and Chris Hubbard to Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin. You raise the level of the whole offense. I'm very interested in the guys who not just fill holes, but raise the level of everybody around them defensively.
So who did you identify? You came up with a couple of names. Take us through that.
So the first one is thinking that at linebacker, they brought in all kinds of guys at linebacker last year. They have about 5 different linebackers they played this year. We know that. B.J. Goodson, Jacob Phillips, Malcolm Smith, Mac Wilson, Sione Takitaki. But only Goodson really was kind of an every down guy. And I think even in coverage, he's a little bit of a question. And now you're making me think of the guy. It's this Tulsa kid, this Zaven kid, right, from Tulsa, who was maybe the best linebacker in the country this year. I think linebacker at 26 this year might line up the way left tackle at 10 lined up that last year. Because there are 2 big linebackers in this draft. Micah Parsons from Penn State, first of all, and then the Notre Dame kid, who are going to be gone by 26. But I think you can get the 3rd best linebacker in the draft when the Browns pick. We know they don't prioritize linebacker. I think this might be the exact spot for linebacker with their philosophy. Maybe it's not the Tulsa kid. Maybe it's somebody else. But I think you could slide that guy right in as an every down linebacker and change this defense similarly to the way Jedrick Wills changed the offensive line at left tackle. You had the left tackle hole. I think we see the linebacker hole. So that draft pick comparison I thought was worthwhile to at least think about.
And then you also, delineated how you could add, to the line and potentially a safety, I believe is what you were thinking as well.
Yeah. So then the big move, the most Conklin-esque move, I thought, free agency-wise, would be a safety like Anthony Harris from Minnesota. That we saw what Tyrann Mathieu did for the Chiefs in that game against the Browns as a $14 million safety. He's a playmaker. He's all over the field. Again, it's a position where the Browns went cheap with Carl Joseph and Andrew Zendejo last year, and certainly with Ronnie Harrison and Grant Delpit hopefully coming back healthy. You're going to be better at safety anyway. But can you make a big free agency splash that changes everything? Jack Conklin was the highest paid tackle on the market, and he was worth every cent the Browns spent on him this year. And I understand why they didn't pay more for safety this year, but it feels like a position now. I want a Tyrann Mathieu. I think this defense and this team is now at the point where a playmaking safety potentially is worth the money, and there will be some guys out there. It doesn't have to be Anthony Harris from Minnesota. There's actually about 4 or 5 big-time free agent safeties on the market that are going to be potentially available. I think it might be a place for the Browns to spend some money.